Hello and welcome to Won't Be Forgetting That, a podcast talking about all of the most awkward and embarrassing moments of people working in the arts and entertainment industry. I'm your podcast host, Seb Muirhead, and today we have a guest. They are an actor, a writer, a coach, Rose Flanagan.
Hello. Hi.
Thanks for coming on, Rose.
It's really wonderful to be here. I really like your podcast. And this is the first interview I've ever done, like podcast.
No way.
Yeah.
On the other side.
On
So
the other
I just
side.
wanted to start off by saying Rose does this absolutely fantastic acting podcast for anyone else that wants to listen to some more acting podcast stuff. So I feel like I really need to up my game today. I mean, hers is way more professional than mine and actually speaks about things that matter.
I don't know about that.
But I really enjoyed it. Are you still doing it? Is it on a little bit of a hiatus just now?
It's on about a year and a bit, maybe hiatus.
That's right. Well, it's still out there. Like anything that's been recorded, you can find it. Scene Workout
Yes.
as well, what it's called. But yeah, you have some really professional stuff. Less professional on my end as far as any of the subject matter goes. But yeah, I'm very nervous about interviewing you in this case.
Oh, goodness me. Don't be nervous. I'm really excited. I love the concept of kind of demystifying the idea that we all know what we're doing because
No one does.
no one does.
That's the
We
irony.
do not.
You all look so confident and beautiful and relaxed on camera, but nobody has any fucking clue what's going on ever.
Yep.
Yeah, and everyone's constantly like, no matter, I mean, yet to interview any of your Brad Pitts or anyone like that. Still reaching out to him. So Brad, if you are listening, please get back to me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like anyone that's working or consistently trying to get work on camera or behind the camera or anything like that is constantly just being like, oh God, finishing this job in a week and I need to find like when's my next job coming, and I'm so worried and like, oh God, do I look all right in this scene? And there's so many things, and then of course the inevitable happens where you accidentally trip over something on camera and then everyone's staring at you and you're like, I'll probably just go cry in my trailer now.
Yeah, that's right. And I think, these things are inevitable, like you said. And I do think if you're well intended on
Yep.
set, then none of it really matters.
No, if you're a good person, usually good things happen to you or come back to you, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there are some people out there. If you are wanting to be an actor or budgeting actor, hell, even if you're an established one, don't be a prima donna. I think that's probably a good piece of advice.
Yeah, be kind.
Yep.
And respect everybody on set.
Yes.
At all times. And it's okay to feel, if you feel, I mean, everyone's feeling tired, everyone's feeling stressed. As long, you can feel those things. It's not to say you can't feel that. And if you're doing scenes that require a lot of emotional energy, or you need some time to yourself, like all of that stuff is okay. You don't have to be on and like being everyone's entertainment at all times.
Go around shaking everyone's hand after every take. Like, it's totally fine to keep yourself to yourself. But don't be, like, if you're upset, don't take it out on someone that you deem lower than yourself on the scale of film sets and stuff like that. But
totally. And I've sort of found that for myself, if my mood is quite low, for whatever reason, especially, I mean, it's like anyone's job, right? You go to work and you're nice to people.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's not exclusive to what we do.
it's not a crazy thing to say as well. I reckon.
No. But if for whatever reason, like, you've had days in a row and you're feeling exhausted or a scene's like taking it out of you, I think space is the best way to do it, and there's ways to politely excuse yourself and be in your trailer and have some time to yourself, and everyone's super respectful of that. It's when you start turning around and taking out on people that it's like not okay.
No, don't do that, please. And like people are, from anyone outside of like the TV and film industry as well, they're like, why do actors get trailers? And you're like, because sometimes you've got this scene which is just like so tiring to do and emotionally devastating and stuff like that. You need a little bit of time to get firstly into that headspace and then get out of it as well. So you don't want to just be standing in the middle of like sometimes 50 people all running around the place trying to set up and stuff. So like they're there for a reason, and from an outside perspective it can seem like a bit of a wanky thing. Like, excuse me, I need this entire trailer to myself. Do not disturb me. But like they're genuinely like helpful in those respects as well. Because at the end of the day, what you put down on camera is what people are going to see. So if you've done a really bad job, there's no fixing it afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it can be, difficult as well if you are about to do a scene that's highly emotional or dramatic, or, you've got to conjure up some like stuff that's not pleasant and not fun. And it can be really hard to be on set with everyone and be hanging out in sort of the communal areas and having lunch and having a great chat, making everyone laugh, and then it's like, go on, here's a camera, go cry. You do need that time and space.
For sure. I think it's healthy as well to be able to like wind down, because otherwise you're just like, I don't know about yourself, but sometimes your adrenaline's just rushing and you don't really know how to like hold yourself after a scene like that, and then you're like, I don't know what to do now. But if you can get yourself away and like calm down and allow your body to understand that was all just play, then you're like, okay, this is healthy. This is
completely
also why like I think actors can seem a little bit weird sometimes, because they are like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I shared a trailer on Class of '07 with one of my fellow castmates, Emma Horn, and we treated it like our house. We actually called it our house.
Oh, that's nice.
And so it's like a very cute little domestic life, little palace for us. And I would leave it not messy, but I had these like particular pair of tracksuit pant costumes that would like what do you call it? I want to say flake everywhere, but that's not the word.
Like
they
bobbles.
would, like all the inside of like the fleece would come off everywhere.
I've done that before.
I'd get videos on my phone. She'd send me videos and go, "What is this?" Like it was like a married couple living together often in that trailer.
You're in each other's space so much as well when you're in like when you share trailers as well, and like a lot of actors are like, when I get a trailer on set, that's the day I know I've made it as well. But then sometimes you're like essentially living with someone. And you're like, oh, okay, you really have to, it's like a relationship essentially, where you're like, okay, we need to know how to live with each other and respect each other and not leave fluff in each other's things.
Exactly. And I think it started out, kind of like we didn't really know each other, and then but it was very early on that I came to the trailer and we had a bit of time, and she was like, do you want to watch the movie Honey with me? And I was like, oh yes, like Jessica Alba like dancing, like
oh my god, I remember that film.
Yeah
I was like, is this a really like full-on film where you like trauma bond like, over, but like it's that
early
fun
2000s.
dancing. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, what a time. Okay, that's a good film to bond over.
It was brilliant, and then we'd just dance to the soundtrack to pump us up to go into set, which was always a fun time.
And that did Class of '07 as well. Did seem like it's a fun thing to watch. Was it a fun thing to film as well?
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
It was really art imitating life, imitating art. We were in a COVID bubble. We were all...
Of course, yeah. It would have been at that time, wouldn't it? Yeah.
It was, yeah. So we spent like 3-4 months just all together, and it's like what you see like on Big Brother or on, like I'm a Celebrity, they're put into this place. They can't interact with anyone outside this place.
So funny, isn't it?
And you bond really, really quickly.
You have to. Otherwise, you're like tearing your hair out and there's no one else that you're allowed to go out and physically see as well.
Exactly. And so it was so much fun. And when I was thinking about stories and things coming on your podcast, I was like, I don't really have that much. Not that much has happened to me. And then I started to write things down and think, actually, I embarrass myself constantly.
See, I was saying this before the podcast as well, but this is what happens with 99% of the guests. This happens, and then as soon as we start talking about it on the podcast as well, people are like, oh my God, it's all coming back. It's like flashbacks from like PTSD of awkward and embarrassing things. And I'm like, I do genuinely appreciate people that share this stuff as well, because a lot of the time, I think especially with actors, like you share parts of yourself every day essentially, so like sharing the awkward and embarrassing stuff is it's not unnatural. I'd say I still appreciate people that do it, but like actors especially are very open to sharing their stories about that sort of stuff. A few other people have reached out to her like, oh, I don't know, and I'm like, that's totally fair as well. But I found actors are always happy they put themselves out there constantly, so they're more than happy to put themselves out there with awkward and embarrassing things as well.
Exactly. And I think sometimes especially in comedy, because one of the first things that on '07 that our director said was like, to be in comedy, you have to be willing to be a dickhead. Like you have to be willing to make a dick of yourself. And so a lot of this stuff that I do on camera for, however many, hundreds, thousands of people to see is generally quite awkward and embarrassing. I'll get briefs and, people will be like, oh, this is the perfect brief for you. And it'll be like, unhinged woman eats food off the floor. And I'm like, I see what people are thinking of me,
We will get into the stories very shortly as well. But I do love this kind of stuff when you get sent briefs out as well. So like a brief for anyone that's not in the industry is essentially just like a little bit of a character breakdown of what you're going to be playing. It happens all the time for characters in TV shows and films. And then a lot more so just because people, I feel like, audition for TV commercials more than they do for TV and film. The briefs come out for TV commercial castings, and they are some of the strangest things sometimes. Have you had any of those super, like, it's almost an insult sometimes when you're like, I had one which is like forgettable looking, and I was like, thanks.
Well, my character on Class of '07 is called Forgettable Laura.
That is true. But I feel like you've got an entire season to develop that character as well. And like, I think Laura, like, is such a fun character as well. Even in the first episode, you get to have this real fun little speech and then hit in the head by a volleyball.
That's
Spoilers
right.
as well for anyone that hasn't watched it yet. But yeah, like that stuff's real fun. But then on a TV commercial, sometimes you got like 10 seconds, if that, of your face. So they want you to genuinely be forgettable.
Exactly. Yeah. No, some of the briefs I've had have some interesting adjectives beside them that you got to be pretty resilient and pretty like
Thick-skinned.
self-assured as well. I'm like, okay, I can play those words.
Yes.
It doesn't mean I am those words.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes you do have to be pretty resilient around it, especially in comedy.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And it's funny as well, sometimes I've had a couple of friends that had briefs sent out to them, being like, looking for these kind of people, and their pictures are in the brief, and then they don't get the role. And I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah, it's strange. And sometimes, I think that casting don't necessarily know exactly what they're looking for.
No.
Especially when they give you that old one, just have fun with it.
Yeah.
And you go, all right, they don't know really.
Yeah.
they're waiting for you to do
my
something.
thing of fun is very different to your idea of fun as well sometimes. And I'm like, oh God, I get a bit nervous in those minutes because I think a little bit of an offbeat kind of person myself. And I'm like, do they mean like fun as in like what a normal person thinks fun, or like what a weirdo like myself is think is fun?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, are we, doing a little dance? Are we crab walking?
Exactly, right?
Yeah. What are we doing?
Flopping around on the floor like a fish? Like
exactly. What is fun? What is a bold choice?
Any listeners, call in just now and let us know what is fun.
What is
We'll
fun?
be back to you after Miley Cyrus. But yes, we've teased people long enough about any of our awkward and embarrassing stories. Do you have them in any kind of an order? So I was saying last week on Max Price's episode, I usually like to leave the most embarrassing one till the end. So all these bloody listeners keep listening. But whatever way, I don't know if you've come in with any ideas of how you want to tell them.
Right. Yeah. No, I didn't think that far
No,
ahead.
you're totally fine. This is me just springing everything onto Rose just now as well.
I do, look, I have so
Many by the looks of
many.
things.
I was talking to a friend of mine last night, and I was reminded of how I locked myself in a closet right before shooting a scene in Class 07, and we were shooting in this like old school.
Yep.
And there was this like little closet there, and we were always just sort of doing like you were saying, weird things, making each other laugh.
Yeah, you kind of get cabin fever when you're on something for so long with people, don't you?
And it was very reminiscent of like school camp, like the atmosphere.
Yeah, right.
And so we're all kind of, you almost forget, because I do a lot of guesties. I do a lot of, you come in for 1 day or 2 days and you're really on your A game.
Yeah.
You're meeting people for the first time. You're making a good impression. You don't feel so comfortable, which is good for someone like me, because once I start to get comfortable, I start to get a bit, what's that movie that Cape Fear? Is that the one? No, the one in the when he's in the snow when he goes crazy.
Oh, The Shining.
That's
Yes.
me.
Well, that's
I get The
terrifying.
Shining when I'm too comfortable, so that's going on my
We're
dating
in
profile.
a small room just now, and I'm just slowly edging away from Rose. But
I think
yeah.
I'm really uncomfortable around you, Seb.
Well, we've got to edit that part out, I think. But yes.
But you tend to, when you get comfortable, you sink into something.
You can relax as well, like what you're saying. So a guestie is essentially like a day player role, they also call it, co-star in the US, where you come on for maybe 1 or 2 days on a show. The show is not about you. You're maybe there to say like 4 lines or something like that. You're a character that essentially helps the storyline along for the most part. So you're not coming in to be like, hey, I'm the center of this show, I'm going to relax, I'm going to do all these mad things. You're just kind of like there just to do your job, but like obviously still have fun with it. But then whereas you're on like main class you were main class for class of 07.
I was
main
big
cast for class of 07.
Yeah.
You've got months of being on camera.
Yeah.
So you can properly lose your mind as well then.
Yeah. And I just, they were setting up and, there's a lot of people on set and I was just kind of, exploring the school.
So it was a real school then?
It was a real school.
Yeah, far out.
Yeah, and there was kind of, and at very old school, it's this little like janitor's closet under the stairs type situation.
Oh, like a little Harry Potter cupboard?
Yeah, and
nice.
they were turning around, so it takes some time to, turn the camera, you shoot everyone one way and then they turn the cameras around. And
Which you'd think, by saying that, is a really easy thing just to turn the camera around, but oh no, they've got to reset everything. They've had to move for the cameras to get in the first place, turn all the lights around so the lighting matches exactly the same as what they shot before that.
And then everything that's been sitting behind the camera. So, the sandbags and the equipment and,
the cabling,
the sound stuff, everyone's stuff, all the monitors, everything has to go around the other side.
Yeah.
So it takes a little bit of time, but we've already done our rehearsals. I think I had 1 or 2 lines in the scene as well. One of them was just me going, sluts.
You're sitting there all day just practicing that one line as well, being like, sluts? No, it's not a question. I should go up at the end.
So I was feeling pretty confident. And that I didn't need to go back to the green room and concentrate. I needed to explore the janitor's closet.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
And so I ended up just going in there, having a look, and then for some reason decided to shut the door behind me.
Okay.
And it was pitch black and it was tiny.
Oh.
And then I went to go and open it again and it was locked and I couldn't open the door. And
no light in there at all?
There was no light in there and only one person had seen me go in there. Which thank God that person saw me go in there.
Was this somebody that was like, or you can name names, you don't have to as well. Was this somebody that like saw you in passing, that knew you well, or
I
just like?
I believe it was one of the cast members. I can't remember exactly. I think it might have been Sarah Crindia. I cannot remember exactly.
That's good. It wasn't just a PA being like, that's an actor just being weird, I'll ignore that.
Yeah. But because it was, no one really knew, and she had walked away at that point. And so then I hear them start to go, all right, guys, we're gonna go in for for a take, and we're gonna and it was my coverage, so the camera's on me as well. They're like, where's Rose? Anyone? Rose, can someone get around? I could just start hearing her name.
Sprinting around being like, fuck, I've lost her. Why didn't she tell me where she was going?
It was so bad. I'm like jangling the door, like trying to, and then someone was like, I think she went in this closet. And so then I start to hear people kind of gather around the closet door, and I was like, I think I've locked myself in here. And they went to try and get locations. They were like, all right, we're going to get on the radio to locations to get a key, because no one has a key to the, to this
of course,
random janitor's closet under the stairs that no one's going into. Why would anyone need a key? And they were like, are you sure there's not a lock in there? And I was twisting a lock. It wasn't doing anything. Oh. And so I was genuinely starting to panic, because, as much as I'm a little jokester, I don't want to can I swear here? I don't want to fuck around with people's time.
Course, yeah.
Especially
when the entire cast and crew are waiting on you to get out of a closet, which, I'll be honest, probably wasn't necessary to go in. I would have done exactly the same thing.
Look,
I'll be honest with you.
I don't think we need to start talking about, was it necessary to go in the janitor's closet or not?
Who?
Everyone's process is different. I just want to say that, okay? Some people need to get in a closet before they say sluts.
I heard that Rose actually asked for that closet to be swapped out for her trailer afterwards as well. So you can put that on the IMDb for Class of '07 if you want.
Yeah, that's going to be next time I go on set instead of a trailer. That's what I would like.
They've got the actual closet from that school as well, yeah.
Pulled in from there. I mean, I was in there, and then they were calling locations and time was ticking. And, every minute is like money.
Thousands of dollars as
you
well.
know, and I'm such a do the right thing type person. And I was, I was petrified that I was going to get fired or, in a lot of trouble. And,
They filmed a lot of your scenes before that, because then they can't fire you.
I know. I thank God they didn't end up getting rid of me right there and then, but
just left you in there. They're like, all right, fuck, how quickly can we recast?
Yeah
Rose lives in this cupboard now.
Well, it also the character is forgettable, so it's kind of that thing, when they recast maybe on Arrested Development,
that's right.
You can replace those characters and it's kind of funny.
Yes.
So I'm not safe.
In joke. Yeah,
exactly.
Nobody's
safe. And I was like, anyway, eventually there was a lock underneath the lock, but I couldn't see it because it was pitch black.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And so I ended up getting out of the closet. And then straight away, our director, Casey, who I'm sure was thrilled that I took all that time in the closet.
It is sometimes for directors, they hear things and they're like, people that work in kindergartens or like nurseries sometimes are like, they did what? And you're like, yeah, this kid's just gone out and eaten a load of sand, so we have to take him to hospital now. You're like, why would they do that? So one of the cast members has locked herself in a cupboard and we can't get her out, and you're like, why?
Why did you? Yeah, I could hear her voice as soon as I came in. They were like, all right, Rose is out. It was like 8 different people. Rose is out of the closet. Rose is out of the closet. Yep, Rose is done.
For anyone that's not been on sets as well, everybody that's not cast has a microphone, a radio with a little headset as well. So you always have to tell everyone that's like over the communications what's going on, especially if there's a big thing which is stopping production. So unfortunately, everybody down in the makeup trailers, locations actually had to be there, but like catering would have found this out as well. So.
Yes, everybody knew about it, and I just heard Casey go, "All right, Rose is out of the closet. Let's shoot it." And I was like, "Oh."
Were you in there for long? Can I ask?
It felt like years.
Yeah. Well, you have no idea of time when you're in there.
No, it's like being at the casino.
Void, yeah.
I was probably in there for about between 5 and 10 minutes.
Okay, so not too bad.
Not too bad.
But
in TV and film world,
the worst thing that could have happened.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And I think as well, it's important to mention, people will be like, why didn't Rose just take out her phone and put on her flashlight? As an actor, you're not allowed to keep your phone in your pocket all the time as well, so you're often without your phone.
Yeah.
So you're like, which is like, it's so tough for some people to do, and I hate it as well. I usually try and hide it in my costume, unless anyone that works on sets is listening, and I definitely don't do that. But but yeah, if you don't have it on you, you're like, why don't I even have like a form of communication to call someone?
Exactly. And I didn't like to have it on me on '07 just because of the nature of what we were shooting as well. It was just like the characters like wouldn't ever they couldn't ever use phones. Not that
cut off.
Yeah, I mean, that's not to say I wasn't doing Wordle. Wordle was big at that time.
Oh, was it? This really dates the filming of this, I feel like.
I know.
It's all right. I was on La Brea last year and I could not stop playing Marvel Snap. So that also dates the filming of that. Yeah, I've mentioned this in previous episodes as well. Nobody knows what it is, but anyone out there that does play Marvel Snap, I do still play it, so get in touch. But were you mic'd whilst you were in the cupboard as well?
I was.
Yep.
I was mic'd up in the cupboard.
Try the cheeky little, like, hey, Sandy, just FYI, I'm stuck in a cupboard. Can you come and help me, please?
I didn't say that.
Okay.
And I probably should. I think I was just really embarrassed. I wanted the least amount of people to know about it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Which ended up in
everybody on set knowing that
about
happened,
it. Yeah. And I thought when someone else was trying to open it from the outside and they couldn't, and I kind of thought they were joking, and everyone on the outside thought I was joking. And so, it kind of just, and look, I'm not great in like closed spaces. I've been stuck in elevators before. Like I hate that stuff.
Not your favorite place to be stuck in? Okay, that's fair enough.
And then having to get out and like shoot straight away was also
of course,
it was like, you better get on, you better be funny. Like I felt
You better get this in one take because
pressure.
we burned through all the other time that we had for the other takes.
Yeah.
So you have one take to get this right.
Exactly.
But yeah. Oh.
But that whole set was so fun. You know, I did like one of my classmates, Claire Lovering, shout out, love her. She called me Rose Stunty Flanagan.
Oh.
So I'm coming for your title, Seb.
No, please take it. I'm not getting any work. So.
But I was not actually my own stunty. I had a wonderful stunt double, Ella.
Was that when you? I don't want to ruin this show for people that haven't seen it as well. So, you fell off, or you fall off a bike at one point. Was that
fall
Ella?
off a bike. That was Ella. So it's kind of, I mean, you would know.
Yep.
For our listeners, it's sort of half me, and then the stunty does the really
funny,
hard part.
isn't it? It's the stunty hitting the ground, but then for the most part, it would be yourself. I would imagine.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know. For some reason, I just didn't understand how she would actually fall like flat on. There was one where I fell on a table. I'm standing on a table and I just fall onto the table. And I had mattresses really high piled up behind me so they could get, a closer shot of my face falling back out of frame.
And also keep the talent safe because there's only one talent. And this is horrible to say, but you can replace a stunty.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's I mean, she was incredible, and her dad was actually the stunt coordinator as well. So, which
fantastic.
I thought was so cool, and he was always so happy and like proud
so
of
nice,
her,
it's so good.
falling flat on her face or falling off a bike and smacking on the floor. Like it's just so funny because you imagine a father wanting to keep their daughter safe.
Quite the opposite usually.
And he's just like belly flop on that thing and fall off the bike, land on the gym floor. Yeah, he's always so thrilled when it looks really close to her actually hurting herself.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well for a lot of people that don't know. Like, they're like, how'd you do that without like? This must be some sort of movie magic. And you're like, no, you essentially just learn how to fall safely and then just smash yourself into the ground.
Yeah. Which is wild because they took all the mattresses away when they were doing the wide shot on Ella. And I thought, wait, not one mattress, not even a thin one, nothing?
Nah.
And we're just in this gym and she's just fallen off this bike onto the ground.
Yeah.
Pretty high bike. As I said, I had all these mattresses and everything and I was still like a bit, all right.
Yeah, it's scary, especially if you're not used to it as well. I remember when I was first starting out and I'm like, I don't want to, like, I'm 6 foot tall and I'm like, oh God, it's 6 foot all the way down to the ground. This is terrifying.
Yeah.
Now I'm happy to just fall over on concrete as long as someone's paying me.
Yeah.
But it's funny, isn't it? And then you're like,
Yeah.
I feel so bad for females in the stunty world as well because usually they're doubling other females who are wearing a dress for the most part. Guys are wearing like big combat overalls and stuff like that so they can hide pads really easily.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of female stunties are like, I can't wear anything underneath my costume because there is very little costume.
Yeah, so, when they're doing those action movies where the women are wearing heels for some reason.
Stilettos and like a very like sheer like silk dress.
Exactly.
And you're like, oh wow, yeah, that is just nothing under there. And all these guys are coming in giant jackets and jeans and stuff like that. So yeah, those motherfuckers are some tough ladies.
I know. Yeah, Ella was awesome, and I did several stunts with her, fainting, a lot of fainting actually.
Yeah.
And I did a trampoline trick. So, I'm trying to run up and make this trampoline jump and I do a flip and then I belly flop onto it. It was actually onto a mattress in the scene.
Yeah.
Luckily for Ella, she didn't have to do that.
I don't know how you'd do that with it. Oh, probably wires, but I don't think you could do that without a mat.
Oh, but it was so impressive.
Yeah, right?
And, I keep telling everyone that I did it. So,
no.
I mean, sorry, Ella, but...
No, that's every really actor's thing as well. You're like, I do all my own stunts. I was like, I've known multiple people that have doubled for you, but you do you, mate.
Sure. No, that's fine.
This was actually the first episode as well. I'm not wanting to give away too much of the story in case anyone hasn't seen this yet, but you do get hit by the aforementioned, is it a volleyball?
Yes,
is that a real volleyball?
It's a beach ball made to look like a volleyball, or like a softball or something like that. So we had, all the volleyballs, and amongst that was like the fake one, which I'm very glad that Emily Browning didn't make the mistake of
picking up the wrong one
because it was a pile of balls.
Absolute professional Emily Browning there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that girl, she's going to go somewhere, I reckon.
Keep an eye out for her. Yeah, she's got something about her. But Did you have multiple times of getting hit in the head?
I did. I had a lot of times.
Yeah.
And gave me a little headache, but that's okay.
Yeah,
That's
it's
why
funny,
they call me
isn't it?
Stunty Flanagan.
Exactly.
I can handle the.
I'm going to redo
balls
the
to
start of
face.
this. Rose Stunty Flanagan.
Yeah,
There we go.
brilliant.
But yeah,
Thank
it's funny
you.
because you're like, it is a soft ball, but then and everything on camera needs 8 takes apparently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it needs to be thrown hard enough to make
does,
it
doesn't it?
believable.
Yeah.
And even if you're doing soft throw after, you'd rather get like 3 hard throws to the face than like
20
15 soft
yeah.
ones. Exactly. So we did it a few times, but
Yeah.
it was all good fun.
So maybe Emily wasn't throwing it hard enough. She's getting blacklisted from the Australian and American industry if I have anything to do with it. I'm joking, Emily, if you are listening, but I'm sure you're not.
But I did when I was doing those flips. It just reminded me of there was a scene prior to me doing these flips on a trampoline where the context is I'm trying to get revenge on the PE teacher, Mr. Frango, for not letting me land a flip. This is my recollection. I'm like, what was I even saying?
It's all these concussions from the fake volleyball.
Exactly. But I had the scene before and I was declaring that that's what I was going to do. I'm going to land this front flip and show, Mr. Frangopoulos that, I'm not a failure.
Exactly.
It was my first day of shooting on 07 and I was incredibly nervous.
As everybody is on their first day.
Oh my God.
No matter how famous you are, unless again you are the Brad Pitts, but even then I'm sure they're nervous because they've got an entire production riding on their shoulders. But like first day is just, you just want to get through it. Like it's,
Absolutely.
I don't know about yourself, but you're not excited. You're just scared.
And
yeah.
I also, I'd done the Zoom callback. Really did it really deadpan and obviously got the role from there.
Yeah.
And we'd done the table read. And then this was my first time
on camera
with Forgettable Laura, saying lines and having, the cameras all eyes on me.
Yep.
And so I was extremely nervous and I stood up and did the scene. And then Casey, our director, yelled out, now say, fuck you, Frango. And so I, at the top of my lungs, scream, fuck you, Frango. And in my haze of nerves, had not taken into account that it was not my coverage. It was Megan Smart's coverage.
Oh.
None of the cameras were on me. And Casey obviously meant for Megan to say that line.
Oh, no. Oh.
And so I screamed this because, full commitment.
Oh, of course. Yeah, you want to make a good impression on your first date.
And everything's just goes silent. And Casey goes, now, Megan, can you say that? And I just wanted to recast myself on the spot.
It's those moments where it's that deafening silence and it feels like a lifetime. Again, like you're being trapped in a cupboard. Like it feels so much longer than presumably a couple of seconds.
It's still like if you had a camera on me right now, like I feel like I'm back there. Like I'm cringing so hard
This
at
is
myself.
what I live for on this podcast.
And
people reliving all these.
Never fails to remind me of that either.
Oh,
like
really?
She will just message me saying "fuck you, Frango" every now and again, just so I can, feel that.
That's a good friend as well, I reckon.
Yeah.
Or the worst one of the two. But
it was horrific. But
those times as well where you're like, in like acting, you want to make an offer, so you're like, all right, I'll go for this as hard as I can. And then, when it's not your line, it's rough.
I know. And like, I think about it now and I'm like, but Rose, like none of the cameras were on you. Like, why would you?
You're a seasoned professional. You should have known this.
You should have known. What were you thinking? But look, that is, that's just the way it goes.
You live, you learn. And only about what, 50 people saw you do it as well, so it could have been worse.
And it was just my first day.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
just everyone thinking I'm
First impression.
incompetent.
Yeah.
And I've never worked on screen before. And
Yeah, and then you thinking, God, everyone's going to remember this from me, and
yeah.
well, apparently people do still bring it up to you as well. So that's nice of them.
Yeah. That's what I love about this podcast. I just wanted to bury all these things, but it's kind of good to like.
I say this every week. This is just blackmail as well. So I don't release these podcasts. I just keep them
collateral,
and then I'm like, hey, I see you on this next project. Any more co-star roles there? Otherwise, I'm going to release this.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's a brilliant acting strategy.
I know,
we were saying before, there's no linear path.
No,
there's no like right way, and so blackmail is just as good as NIDA.
I think it's probably the best idea, to be honest with you. NIDA costs thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
Blackmail is free, and I think
is free.
legal. I don't know. I'm not
some
a lawyer.
States, I don't know.
Tasmania, probably. I'll move down there. Send some emails from Tasmania. They can see that I've been there. Yeah. So so I'll blackmail you to get onto your next TV show then. In that case,
brilliant. Yeah, that sounds great.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
But yes, so Class of '07, like obviously outstanding success. Going back, unless we have anything from some of the more recent shows, but going back in time before that, do we have anything as well?
Yeah. So I'm just thinking back in time because you know what, like. I feel like all my embarrassing things have kind of happened more recently.
Yeah, nice. That's
strange.
Good. That's impressive. Mine were, well, I mean, they still happen now, obviously, but like so many of them when I was starting out.
I feel like when I was starting out, I was so quiet and I wouldn't say anything. I mean, I like my first screen experience was about 20 or so episodes of Neighbours.
Yeah, that's crazy.
When I first got out of high school and I just was, trying to get on anything. And it was some of the best on-set experience, and it made me really aware of everything that was going on set, but also in a really low stakes environment where I'm able to observe, up close what how behaviors and what everyone in the crew does, and get to know your place without any expectation of like say any lines. Yeah,
and I think as well with Neighbours, that's the reason why so many people come up through Neighbours as well. Like that's the it's a stomping ground. Is that the correct analogy? Or like that's where you cut your teeth really, which is why so many successful people come through it as well. But yeah, like at the end of the day as well, like it is just you're shooting so quickly back to back in succession as well. You're like you don't really have any time to second guess yourself. It's just go.
And I think I really learnt to sit back and know everyone's place, and at that point doing extras work to know your own place when you're doing that as well. Yeah, I think that's a massive thing, which like any extras listening to this, and I've done a load of extras work myself as well, especially when I was starting out in Australia. Really know your place. Yeah, totally. And it's a really know what opportunity it is to be an extra, because it's not unimportant at all. And it's a huge learning opportunity. I mean, I credit it to why I haven't been, fired off other things or like, how I learned behavior and set etiquette and responsibilities. Hell, even just what the heck, like there's 100 people on set, what the fuck they actually do, that is such an important job to learn. Completely. But nobody, like acting school or like acting books or anything, they won't teach you what like a third AD is or what a grip actually means or anything like that. Which extras work, very low stakes, but you can actually learn what the hell's going on for the most part. Yeah, but I think you also have to know, like you were saying, like know your place, know what an opportunity is, and know what you can, that you can learn a lot from it, but also know that it's an observational position. You're not walking in front of the main character staring directly down the barrel of the camera trying to get your one line in there which you haven't been given. Yes, that's right. And you're not trying to get to the front of the thing. If you've been placed at the back and you're walking across the scene, that's what you're doing, and that's your job. You're not shoulder barging everyone out the way to get to the front of a crowd. Exactly. Like, and you're not obviously everyone's human, you can talk to whoever you like, but just respect people's time and other people's roles.
Absolutely.
And it's not the time to, go up to the main character and say, oh, I've got this DVD, can you sign it for me? Can we get a photo?
Right.
Like things like that I have seen people ask, for photos and things like that. And, it's just not about that. That's not your job there. But there is opportunity and that you are important.
Yeah, exactly, right? And like that, you can feel free to try and ask for a photo, but you can ask the third AD maybe if they're all right to ask another actor who's maybe not filming at that point, but when they're heading back to their dressing room or whatever. So
absolutely,
like it's all right as long as you're, I don't want to sound mean, but like a quote unquote normal, acting like a normal human being. But then sometimes people just lose their minds as extras as well.
Exactly. And just remember that it's work and everybody's at work.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a meet and greet. It's not a media event. It's not a networking event. Everyone's at work.
Yeah, and it might be like this massive thing for you as well, and it probably is for a lot of the actors and even some of the crew as well. But like, it's not Hollywood's like glamour party. You're not there to be like going crazy and stuff like that. You're like, you need to sit down at your table in a restaurant and pretend to eat your food.
Which is also great because that's there's creativity in that as well, and you can invent whatever character background you want as long as you're not detracting. But I had a friend she's a story producer now, but she was an AD on Neighbours, and she was
cool.
It was her responsibility to place the extras.
Yep.
And she would often, make up narratives for them.
That's cool.
And it was brilliant. Like she had her own sort of world going on with them. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that's sick. That's also a really nice AD as well, I have to say. So, and I'm like, I get it as well. Like the third AD is generally the one that's dealing with the extras, and it's like wrangling cats a lot of the time as well. Like they'd be like, no, stop picking up that furniture and moving it because you want to see it. That's part of the scene, like, and all that kind of stuff. So I understand that they're
sometimes it's wrangling cats with the main cast too.
I mean, that's very fair as well, but you have to tiptoe around them a lot more.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if it's okay with you, can we just get you back on set just now? Oh, thank you so much. Whereas if you're an extra, you're like, what the fuck are you doing going to the toilet without telling me? Get back on there.
And I think that's because, as we were saying, to go back to that, that's how I was, I want to say raised on set, was with that that kind of like, telling what are you doing? Get back here. Like, don't do this, don't do that. Shush, be quiet, blah, blah, blah. Background, go here, go there. And so it's quite humbling, and you sort of don't have that, like, ego coming onto set that can manifest in like quite unkind behavior sometimes,
or what people just expect to happen for them on set sometimes.
The entitlement is ripped away. If you want to like get rid of your entitlement, go and do some extras work.
Right, especially for lower paid productions sometimes as well. And nothing against like the lower paid productions, obviously we're all making the best that we can with whatever we have, but like they do not have time for extras whatsoever. But
I think because of that in my early stages, and then when I started doing, sort of featured extras and guesties with one line here and there, I was very, very quiet. I wouldn't say anything to anybody on set except, hello, thank you. Yes, but I wouldn't ask for a coffee. I wouldn't, even if they came and asked me, do you want a coffee? I'd say no.
I still feel awkward asking for that, to be honest with you. I'm like, I would fucking love a coffee, but I don't want this poor person to run and get me one.
I know. And I still have that mentality of like, I can do that myself. But actually on my podcast when I had, shout out to Zara, who was the AD that I was talking about. When I had her on, I was saying this to her, I don't want to ask for a coffee. I want to, I'll take my own jacket. I'll put my own jacket down. I'll go and get my own jacket. If it's sitting over there, I don't want to make someone go and get it. And she was saying to me, well, that's actually more of a problem. More of an imposition. If you get up and go and, leave the place where we've put the actors to go and get your jacket and you don't tell anybody, it's much more, it's much easier.
In a cupboard and no one can find you.
Yes, thank you.
We're bringing it back. But I also, on a very quick side note, that was my favourite episodes, two-parter with Zara Singstock. That was it, pissing off the crew. So anyone take away anything from this podcast, finish this one obviously, but go and check out those two episodes. I really liked that.
I love it. It's it was very, very enlightening for me as well. because there's kindness, and then there's being so quiet that
People forget you're there.
People forget.
Forgettable Rose.
Forgettable Rose. But you need things as well. Like
absolutely.
I need a coffee in the morning.
Oh,
so
me too.
if it's going to be an imposition for me to go and make my own, then yes, I
will
would like
absolutely
the coffee.
take one.
Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
thank you. I would also like some water because I'm sweating so much underneath these stage lights and I might pass out. So like I can get my own water, but yes, thank you for bringing me a bottle of water as well.
Yeah, exactly. But I was just trying to think in my sort of early career. I know doing auditions. I mean,
auditions.
Auditions, I've probably done a few very embarrassing things in auditions. There was an audition that I went in for once, and it was a callback for a commercial, and the client was in there as well, which is always...
Oh, hello. We're kicking over the podcast recorder now.
Kicking things over. I'm done here.
It's because I brought up the cupboard again, wasn't
exactly.
it?
One more time, Seb. That's your last warning.
Cupboard.
But I went in for the audition, and the client... he took one look at me and then just went back on his phone.
Oh no.
And I was like, oh, that's so it rattled me a little bit.
Yeah,
but I was
for sure.
The casting, as all the casting directors are lovely people.
Oh, they're
gorgeous people.
A shout out to anyone. Obviously, we're trying to get your good sides anyway.
Trying to get a job.
Yeah, they understand that we've all gone through 1 million different auditions, and we're taking our time out and just putting ourselves out there for some of the most, especially TV commercial castings, which I don't know about yourself. I just make a dickhead of myself all the time in them.
Absolutely.
But so they're so nice with that kind of stuff.
They're so nice and they're so supportive. And I could tell in the room that this lovely casting director was trying to sort of make up for this person's...
oh, that's so rough.
Yeah, quite awkward. He just sort of went on his phone, and I did the audition and... she said, I think let's do it again. That was great, but let's do it a little differently. What do you think? Turns to the dude, and he was like, what time are we doing lunch? I just looked up from his phone to say that to her. And she was like, I think it'll be soon. I just think let's have another look at Rose. Just doing this, and just went straight back to his phone.
Fucking hell.
And a spoiler for that, I did not get that job.
I've had almost exactly the same experience. Call back for a TV commercial as well. And I was in the room, and this was after I was coming from what was it? A 5-day long shoot. And I was, my one day off that week was going in for this callback. And I think it might have been the director for it, was just slumped in his chair, did not give a shit. He was like, all right, do this. And I was like, okay. And he's like, no, not turn around to start. And I was like, oh, fuck, all right. And then he was like, yep, fine. And then again, the casting director, beautiful person. They were like, okay, cool. Thank you so much for coming in. We'll be in touch, blah, blah, blah. And the director was just sitting there just could not give a shit about anything. And I was like, it would have been a really good campaign to get, but I was like, oh, fuck, I'm glad I didn't work with that guy.
Yeah. And I think sometimes, casting directors and actors really do understand each other in a lot of
absolutely.
ways. And we understand that they've seen 1,000 people and they understand that we've been rejected 1,000 times.
Oh my God, yes.
And so I think there's a real sort of kind undercurrent a lot of the time between us that we share, which is really nice. And I do want to say, if there are actors listening there, that the casting directors really want you to get the job.
They're on your side.
They really are. They want you to, they've got a problem they need to solve, which is a role that needs to be cast, and they're bringing you in because they're really, really hoping that it's you.
Yeah, right. And you're not there by accident as well. I feel like sometimes, and I do this as well, I'll complain, I was like, another TV commercial audition, but I'm like, it's such a privilege to have. So many people would kill for just an audition.
Right. I had last year, I think I did 7 Nintendo auditions, and I was saying, Nintendo are just, why they, they're like a shitty partner. They just keep, bringing me back in and then pushing me away and pull it, it was very,
How dare you, Nintendo?
Yeah,
how dare you? But if you do want to sponsor the podcast, I'll absolutely take that.
But at the end of the day, I did end up doing
You're on it.
the
the
Nintendo
old
TVC,
Nintendo Switch.
And so like you said, it goes
Yep.
to say you're in there for a reason.
Yep.
It was because,
especially if it is 7 auditions as well, because you're like, this just seems like a joke, but you're like, you're so close every single time. And I've had this with a few different ones as well. And you're like, are you like, this feels like bullying at some point because you're making me audition for the same people over and over again. But it's because that casting director can really, really see something in you. They really, really like you. And like sometimes with the client, so like Nintendo in this case, they can be a little bit on the fence about something. And they're like, okay, can Rose come back in and do it in this slight way? And they'll do it again. And they'll be like, oh, okay, I like that. But maybe we'll try it this way. So then I have to get you back in again to do it that way as well. And so, yeah, it's a lot of work. It's
and
so
I
many
think
moving parts.
that's like the other thing that I would say is, if your barometer for success is getting jobs, then that's you're setting yourself up for a really hard life.
Oh, for
it's
sure.
going to be very disappointing. So I, love to say when I'm working with clients, to find success in other things. There's so much success outside getting a job.
Yeah.
And, getting called back in front of someone that you haven't been in with before. And then you go in front of them and then they call you back for something else is a huge success. That means so much.
Yeah.
And you should celebrate yourself for those things as well.
Yeah.
Getting in front of someone for the first time in general is, really hard to get access and get in those doors.
People like pay so much money for going along to casting workshops and stuff like that just to be seen by people because it's so hard to get in front of certain people sometimes as well. But then if this person's asked you to come in, especially for the first time, you're like, far out, man, that's fucking great.
Absolutely. And if you've done something that's to your standard as well, even if, you're not necessarily getting a callback or, that stuff's to be celebrated as well.
Yeah.
But if you know what your standard is and you're happy with that you've achieved that, you need to be celebrating that.
Yeah, I think a little shout out to Emily Joy, who really helped me see that as well, because it's like every little step of the way.
Big shout out to Emily Joy. My shout out's bigger than Seb's shout
mine's
out, Emily.
Probably the largest, actually. And I can also edit out Rose's shout out. So.
Don't edit my shout out. Mine's the biggest shout out, Em.
So we're starting fresh here. Actually, Rose said that she didn't like you very much, Emily. No, I'm joking. Fantastic. But she says celebrate the wins all along the way. So your win isn't solely defined by getting the part. It's about getting the audition to start off with, especially if the audition's for someone that you haven't been in with before. And then it's maybe getting a call back. And there's all these different little things along the way that you can celebrate. And I'm like, far out. That is a great way of looking at it. Because I'm like, I'd always be like, fucking auditioning for this stuff and I'm never getting it. But like, even if you get an audition, you're like, fuck yeah, man, that's sick.
Exactly. And obviously, we need an income. We need to live. We need the money. We need a job. Like, absolutely. But all those things along the way are leading to that as well.
Yeah, I know, because it's like, it might not be today, it might not be this month, it might not be this year, but it all hopefully adds up into something which does become like essentially a sustainable career, in the respect of being like, maybe you can one day quit that coffee job, or you don't have to work full time, you can go down to part time or something like that, which is a massive win in itself as well.
Exactly. There are, like Em says, so many wins along the way.
But enough of all this positivity.
Yeah,
I want to go back
too much positivity.
I want to go back to that embarrassing and awkward story here, Rose.
So I also on 07 had to work with a chicken, and I'm petrified of birds. Like, I hate birds.
Wow.
And so I had to hold this chicken. There was one point with the chicken where it I don't know how to. I'm sure there's a word for this. I want to say like bruisted.
I don't even know if that is a word.
It's not a word. Okay. I'm demonstrating it for Seb. It's like it puffs itself out.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
And like its wings start like growing, like because you hold it by the
trying to make
down,
itself
and
bigger.
It's like, and you're just like,
sounds like it's
going to
explode.
And one wing escaped my thing, and it was flapping around in my face.
As soon as that one wing gets out as well.
Just put the chicken down, and I went, I'm sorry. This is my diva moment. I hate birds. But there was a chicken wrangler who helped me with some chicken training and tips.
Oh, so you got chicken training?
I did get chicken training.
So you can put that on your CV now as well. So down underneath all the
skills.
Hundreds of credits you have, you can say skills and you say chicken trained.
I am highly trained and skilled in chicken.
This is so funny. We've had this come up previously on podcasts before as well. Animals don't often know they have a job I think on set especially.
Not
they're like,
often,
no.
yeah.
So they're like, and I've worked with some great animals. Any animals that are listening that I have worked with, like you were fantastic. I've worked with some fucking nightmares as well, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of our previous guests, Will Jones, very well established, fantastic guy, but great stunt actor. He was saying that a rat bit him in the genitals once whilst he was holding it on set.
Oh.
Yeah. So it could always be worse than the chicken. But yeah, I also, when I was younger, I was in this feature film, and this dog had to. I want to say wrangle, I suppose. Dog had to wrangle this bull. And my God, it took so fucking long for it to happen. We're all standing out. This was back when I lived in Scotland. We're all standing out outside in Scottish winter wearing, like, everything's a period piece that we shoot in Scotland. So wearing these horrible old clothes.
Like the wool, like, tartan
yeah.
things.
And the big stupid hats. And
Yeah.
so dumb. But we're all just standing there being like, I'm getting annoyed. I'm getting annoyed at a dog and a bull who I fairly certain have no concept of what's going on just now. I'm just like, just do your things. It's a simple mark to hit. So just standing there for ages, and I'm like, this is weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, animals are never fun to work with.
Animals are always interesting. And
Yeah.
look, I love animals,
Me
but
too, me
birds,
too.
I can't deal with them. I
Yeah.
can't. I don't know if I had some like childhood trauma around it. I know
Let's
that
get into that just now, then. We'll bring up
my mum would tell me that like I had like an uncle or a great uncle who was like carrying a stick, and a magpie like was threatened and just took his eye out, just like went and like de-eyed him like with
Christ.
its beak. And so I think that maybe as a child,
Yep.
I just went, well, that's a possibility with
From all
everything. That's
birds.
what all birds
Yep.
want to do to
Yep.
me. And so I made an enemy of every bird on the planet.
And you can tell that as well.
Steph on O 07
Yeah.
she had her parrot.
Her parrot?
Yeah, her own
Oh.
parrot. A parrot. Shout out to Michael Parkinson, her parrot.
Oh my God. Big shout out to Parky there.
Yeah. And so she brought her parrot down from Brisbane and like,
Oh, wow.
lived in the hotel.
Oh, no shit. That's so
And,
cool.
Yeah. Well, it is if you like birds.
Okay, wait. I should have prefaced that there. Yeah, fair enough.
But
Did you and Parky get on? Any on-set drama? A little TMZ moment here?
Yeah, look, that was probably the most difficult
Person to work with.
person to work with for me.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh at your misfortune. I mean, I do, but not in a malicious way.
He was
But-
great. I think it's like the flapping of birds
Yeah.
and it's their feet and their beak and
Yeah.
just them.
Yeah.
It's just their whole way of being.
Yeah, choose.
That I
Either
don't
on the
approve
ground
of.
or in the sky. Don't do both. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, it's all of it. It's the show off. It's the sound. It
Yeah.
really is. I just
Stealing people's eyeballs. Yeah, it's all of it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
But we'll move on from this trauma as well. This is actual trauma. I feel like this.
Yeah. Speaking of actual trauma,
Oh,
not
God.
really, but I just was thinking before about the times before, long before, the times before like intimacy coordinators and
Oh,
things.
God,
and,
yeah.
I remember being sprung in a TVC that I would be crying naked in the shower.
Oh, wow.
And it was a comedy TVC as well. So
Doesn't sound like a comedy to me, I'll be honest with you. Jesus Christ.
I was, and so I didn't know because it wasn't in the script
Oh, my God.
that I had received.
Yeah.
Apparently it was in an updated script, but they just sort of went,
Fucking
okay, now we're
hell.
going to do the crying in the shower scene. And I went, the who?
Yeah.
Uh-huh, the what?
That seems like, and not to interrupt your story here, sorry, but like that seems like something that should have been brought up as soon as it got put in the script.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Far out.
And I hadn't, there was no approval for any sort of,
Oh my God.
as far as I can remember, it was a long time ago, but
Yeah.
but there was nothing that sort of that I remember ticking or signing or saying
Yeah, right.
that like I would
think you'd
do
at least have
that.
to tick something.
Or,
Yeah.
Look, today you absolutely would. There'd be no way.
Fucking love the direction that a lot of this stuff is moving. Intimacy coordinators as well. I would actually love to get one on the podcast as well to talk about it a little bit more in depth. But they're essentially somebody that's on your side on set for anything that's intimate, and that can be like as little as like a hug, all the way up to crying naked in the shower as well.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and they are absolute gems. Like I've worked with maybe one person before as well, like properly for intimacy coordinating. And then I've had plenty of experiences in the past where I was like, looking back, it's like, fuck, I wish I had someone there for that now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I felt, I mean, like I said, it was at that point in my career where everything I did, I was just, mouth closed, ears open. Yes, yes, yes. I'll do everything that everybody says all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm still kind of like that. And I'm just sort of coming to a point where I feel like I can stand up for myself. If something like that were to happen now, I maybe could say something, but I really respect a lot of the actors that I've learnt from, that I've seen see things and say things.
Yes.
Particularly for themselves. I think I could more easily stand up for someone else.
I'm the same. I've actually, I feel much more comfortable standing up for other people than myself, which is such a strange thing to say, but yeah.
But I think I learned a lot of that just jumping forward before I jump back.
Yes.
On oh 07, there was a lot of really strong, amazing cast members who would...
Fuck, it's a good cast on there as well, huh?
It was a great cast, and really like strong women who would... say things, and who were like funny and clever and awesome. Yeah, I just love that whole cast. But yeah, at that time I was like, they said, let's do the crying naked in the shower scene now.
God.
And, a lot of men on set. It was not a closed set.
What?
It was, and you know how fast commercials work as well.
Oh, split second
it's like,
to film
get
something.
Here, do that, bang, da, da, dang, dang, dang. And you got, the advertising agency behind a monitor.
Yep.
You've got the client behind a monitor. And then you've got, the director and production behind a monitor. And so there's kind of three big entities and all the crew, and everyone's just like, get on and do it.
Yeah.
And so I was, put in this sort of flesh-colored leotard that I had not, tried on previously, and so the whole thing felt. I was actually really uncomfortable.
Yeah,
it was really
surprised.
awkward.
That is horrible.
Yeah, and I've expressed this before. Like I've had body issues, and so issues around that doesn't help either, because you feel like, is the joke my body? Are people laughing at that? Like, how is this being shot? How is this being, how long is this clip going to go for? And what are they going to film? What are they going to see? I've got to make sure I'm not falling out of this, nude leotard.
Spoken about flesh-coloured, cock socks to up to leotards to all that kind of stuff before, because, you're wearing something, but it's still incredibly revealing. Like, you do not feel comfortable in it ever.
Yeah.
So you're and not having any discussion before that as well is just it's everything's moving in a much better direction now, hopefully, but
that's
far
exactly
out.
right. Like it's
sucks.
so good to see it moving in an amazing direction. And the head of wardrobe on 07, Demir, was one of the most amazing wardrobe people I've ever worked with, and he was so body positive and so engaged with, there was no, sometimes, over the years you get little comments or things that people say and they don't even realize, because they're just going, this character, they're not saying it with bad intentions, but sometimes in your own brain you go, and you can internalize those things. And he was just wonderfully neutral, wonderfully body neutral about everything, which I think is the best way to be.
Yeah. It is as well, because you're judged on so much, your acting ability first and foremost, but then you go in front of some people, I don't know about yourself as well, but they'll look you up and down and be like, no. And I don't think they mean it in a mean way, but it's that point where you're like, oh fuck, all right, well, what's wrong? What's in quotation marks wrong with me? Yeah,
exactly. And I know actors find that in hair and makeup sometimes as well, people with different skin tones or skin types, or
hair types as well,
hair types, and and sometimes comments can just fly around and people don't even realize that they have an impact on that human being.
A lot of the time you're just a mannequin, and not in a mean way as well, but you are a mannequin to be styled.
Totally. But on the by the same token, you have to be resilient, and you have to realize that that's what you are. You're playing a character. I mean, I'm getting my teeth blacked out the other day, and the idea was to make me look really dull and unattractive and plain, which, took hours, Seb.
Oh, of
it
course.
took
I'd imagine
hours
you'd
and
have
hours
to go
and
in
hours.
3 a.m. in the makeup truck. They wouldn't have been able to shoot before midday.
No, they had to try really, really hard. But
good on the makeup for trying. I wouldn't say succeeding, but I'm sure they tried.
Yeah, they did their best.
Yeah.
You can't work miracles, but
No. Fix it in post.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, they blacked out my teeth and made my eyebrows really dark and dull and low and but all that stuff is really fun to me. I don't find any of that uncomfortable personally. Yep. I quite like that. I mean, it'd be different if the character was, meant to be hideous and you got the makeup chair and they went, oh, great, we don't need to do anything.
Oh, you've already been through makeup.
Yeah.
No.
But, when they do something like that, like blacking out your teeth and stuff, it's interesting because I then went on set and everyone I met, I had to tell immediately that they'd done this to my teeth.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? You're like justifying yourself to people that sometimes you've never met before as well. You're like, I don't look like this. Hi,
it's not me. Hello. Yeah. But it was the first thing that came out of my mouth to everyone because I'm having conversations. My teeth are just like, plaque and green and black. And it looks, full credit to that makeup crew. It looked really real.
Yeah, that's great.
And I could have been like that. They could have cast me because that's how my,
That's what the audition brief says, rotten teeth.
yeah, pretty much.
And you're like, oh, I thought I had nice teeth.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny as well because like as an actor, you go on sets a lot of the time and you're look a very specific way depending, like especially on that one they've mucked up your teeth and given you these big old eyebrows, and then you might go to the wrap party, you might see people on other sets and they'll be like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, hey Sam, how are you? And they're like, what? And I'm like, we did that show together. And I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, oh, it's so and so. And they're like, oh, fuck, I don't even recognize you. Yeah, I get that.
It's quite fun. It's actually quite awesome, and that's sort of helped with my separating character from me and not letting certain briefs or certain characters affect my self-esteem. Is like the challenge for me and the aim for me is to be transformative.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, okay, that is not me. I am me. But I'm gonna rise to the challenge of.
That'll be me for the day.
Yeah.
That person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is also nice because I think that separates your job essentially at the end of the day to your personality or you as a person. Because I think some people can slip into a bit blurred lines, and a lot of actors have a good separation of them, I think. But then some people that are essentially just playing themselves on camera a lot of the time do sort of become like they are that personality on camera, so they become that personality in real life, or people expect them to be that personality in real life as well, which is really hard for them.
Yeah. I like to subvert the expectations. I think if people watched 07 and saw Forgettable Laura, I'd like to think that maybe they meet me in real life and they go,
remember you?
Yeah.
Which is ironic because I feel like Forgettable Laura is one of the most memorable characters on the show as well.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so good. Rose did ask me to say that beforehand.
Yeah, I did. I wrote that down.
Yeah. But so I think we've been chatting for such a long time. Do we have any last stories that we want to get to?
Yes.
We have so many notes and I feel like we've chatted for so long as well.
I mean, just a lot of it I've actually covered, Locked in a Cupboard. I told that one.
That's a beautiful one.
That one. A lot of the good ones I've covered. I know perfect. There was a film I did which just goes to me not speaking up for myself, where I'd just gotten my ears pierced and they'd been really badly infected, and they were like, oh, you've got your ears pierced, let's put these really heavy hoop earrings in. And I said, I don't know if I can do that because like I've just had them pierced and they're not going well. And they said, oh, no, we want to. And kind of, I just felt like I've got to say yes.
Yeah.
So for these really heavy ears, and my ears just bled.
Oh, my God.
So, when that film comes out, we're going to see how much that they were actually bleeding. And if you look closely, they'll be really red and infected.
Oh, my God. So was that a fairly recent thing as well?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Oh, that
and I just felt like I couldn't say no.
Yeah.
And I kind of did say no, no, but like
Yeah.
it was, you know, you test the waters, you go,
Like a soft no.
I'm not sure if I really, and they kind of go, well, we do no, but like we have to,
Yeah.
you know, this is what they want, this is what we're wanting.
Again, they're just trying to go for the character. They don't know it's necessarily because you have a medical problem.
Right? And like I didn't want to say that, and
Yeah.
because I don't have my ears pierced. You can see now I do not. I took them out and they closed up, and that was, you know, the first time I'd ever tried piercing my ears. And so yeah, when they sort of said to me, oh, if you can manage, like it'd be really good for us if you could wear them. And then I'm feeling like
I'm doing them a favour as well, so I have to now.
So I just went, yeah, no worries. And it was, really painful. I should have put my foot down. But
Do you want to see what the film was so we can all keep a little eye out for it? You don't have to, but...
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it'll end up on the cutting room floor. So maybe I won't have to.
Why is this lady bleeding profusely from her ears?
I think it does add to the comedy a little bit.
Oh my God, she got really into character for that.
But yeah, I guess the other thing I wanted to touch on was just like really early stuff, like short films and not doing the work enough, and maybe being cast not like being cast not quite appropriately. So like I was in a short film and I was playing a someone with a heroin addiction who ends up overdosing, and sometimes they're really ambitious and like, you know, these wonderful young creatives were just trying to do something,
of course,
you know, meaningful, and they wrote a script and made it, and I fully support that and love when people get out there and just like write stuff and make stuff. And I don't know even how I ended up in it, but playing like a heroin addict who ends up overdosing, and I did all the tropes you can imagine. I did no research. It was just a real lesson in, and when I saw it, and thank God it didn't, you know, end up winning an Oscar or like going to Sundance. Oh,
that would have been awful if you won an Oscar for that. Who are you? But yeah, I know what you mean. It's kind of just lost in the like metasphere or whatever. Like it's just like it's not anywhere in particular. But
it was, you know those early days where you get something really heavy or meaty and you just play all the stereotypes and all the tropes
and you think
of
that's
it.
what acting is. You're like, I have to be like a psychopath,
like shaking and like foaming at the mouth and like, you know, eyes rolling in the back of my head and not doing any
I think that's
work.
a good that's always a problem as well, isn't it? Especially when you're younger, you're like, I just do this, and then when you start getting a little bit more experience, you're like, fuck, that actually takes quite a lot of character building and work to put into it. I think that's one of the big pitfalls for younger actors as well. They're like, I always want to play the psychopath, I always want to play the grieving mother, and you're like, it might not be within your wheelhouse just now.
Just now. Exactly
and it's fine. And also, if that's all you have in your show reel, you're like, how many psychopaths do you see on day-to-day television or film? Like you're kind of pigeonholing yourself into I think they are fun to play.
Oh yeah,
but keep it private. No.
But I definitely, you know, that's another thing I, you know, recommend to people is just like grab a friend and do those scenes. Like put them down, because more and more casting directors and, you know, prospective agents like to see clips, like links to clips of you doing stuff. My drama reel is still just me, you know, clip after like little snippets of clips that I've done that I shot with a friend at her house.
It's
so
I said this on, I think it might be one of the previous episodes with Jackson Tozer. It is so easy to do a scene now. Like all you need is a white background, a plain wall. You can buy like a ring light. I'm pointing at mine for all the people that can't see this. For like $80 from Kmart, and then you just shoot it on your phone, and you can build up such a large clip gallery, like what you were saying. So you can have like, if you want, you notice that say, police show's coming out, so you want to put forward something that's a police officer. So you just shoot a clip like that, find it from something that you either want to be in, so like another similar show, or somebody that you can see yourself trying to move into the similar career path that they've had. And you just shoot that. And it's that easy. I mean, obviously put in the work. Don't just be like reading off a script on camera and not doing any of the work. Do the work. But yeah, like it's so easy now to do that. Whereas back when I started out, you'd constantly be like hitting up people and being like, hey, can I get a VHS of that short film that I did so that I can copy it into a VHS for me so I can try and have that VHS, which I'll then give to people, but they need to get back as well at the end of the day. So yeah, far out.
Exactly. And yeah, it can feel when you're waiting for work, it can feel really isolating and stressful. And so I think when, you know, if you can find time to, you know, find a scene that you like. If you're watching something, I'm watching the series Barry at the moment, which is great.
I need to start that as well.
And it has some wonderful scenes in it that I've looked at and gone, oh, I might put that down, you know, with my friend. And that's all it takes. And doing that kind of stuff is really low stakes and it brings down the stakes when you have auditions as well. Because if the only time you're getting in front of camera is an audition, it's going to make it really high stakes.
Exactly.
So doing things in between, working that muscle in between is really beneficial. And it's something I personally love to do. And it again also like works twofold because it mitigates that isolation that you feel and that lack of connection and that feeling that everyone else is doing and working and thriving and I'm not.
And I'm sitting at home waiting for this email to come through on casting networks.
And the best way to combat that is connection with other people. So
reach out to people.
I do want to say to like any actors out there, if you do feel stressed or isolated, that my DMs are open just to say hello as well. And yeah, I mean, you don't have to come and work with me or coach with me, but like I just, if anyone's feeling like stressed and isolated, because it can be really, really difficult to be an actor, as we know. It's difficult to do everything. I'm not sitting here saying being an actor is the hardest thing in the world, but
from where we're coming from as actors, it is, so isolating, which is ironic because all you're doing is acting with other people all the time when you are acting. But this actually segues perfectly into the end of the show. So you have Scene Workout, which is a fantastic service, self-taping service and coaching service as well. So do you want to let us know where we can find that?
Yes, you can go to Scene Workout on Instagram and we have a website, sceneworkout.com, and you can book me for self-tapes. My self-tapes are mobile, so I come to your house. All you need is a plain wall.
Fantastic.
I bring my setup, everything. It's really tailored to each actor's outcome. So sometimes people have auditions and then other times people just want to workshop something, do some script analysis and character work and put something down for a clip. So
my God, having the outside pair of eyes to let you know, like maybe try doing this instead is so useful because sometimes you're reading an audition and you're like, God, I'm just lost. I don't know how to change this now. So yeah, like those services are so good to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, you don't need that as well. Like you know, I just want to say that as well. Like if you're doing a TVC and you can get another pair of eyes, you can get someone to look at it, and you don't have to go to a studio to get like the perfect
every single
thing.
audition you get doesn't have to be like that.
Absolutely.
But the bigger ones are the ones that you really, I don't want to say really want to get. You want to get all your auditions, obviously, but like the
ones that require a bit more work and that outside perspective, like that's when I'm outsourcing my auditions to, you know, people that I trust and people whose opinion I respect and value. And often it's people that I look at their like career or their body of work, or they've done something similar, and I go, you know, I want their
Or recommendations from friends is massive as well. Yeah, that's what I found so many people with this as well. But yeah, and for anyone listening as well, this is all Melbourne based as well. So yeah, anyone in Melbourne, I do absolutely suggest hitting up Rose for any of that kind of stuff too. Where can we find you personally, Rose, as far as like on Instagram or anything, not in the street or whatever?
Yeah, where can you find
where
me
do
in
you
the
usually
street?
hang out?
I'm at Mecca, Chadston a lot. I love makeup.
Oh God, do we have to edit this out now? You're going to get all your bloody stalkers from Class of 07 turning up there now.
Oh yeah, all my fans. You can find me Rose Flan on Instagram.
FLAN, is it?
ROSEFLAN.
Beautiful.
I post. I don't I don't know. I post weird stuff and memes and
It's fun.
It's fun. You like my Instagram?
It doesn't have to be super self-serious all the time on Instagram, I think.
Seb's a big fan of the Instagram, so...
It's also how a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, how I reached out to Rose for this episode as well. So this is our first time meeting in person was today. Even though our rapport is so good, I know, it's because we're a couple of bloody professionals. But and I was, like you were saying before as well, if you do have any questions, just shoot you a little DM as well. Like that sort of stuff's so important, and networking and all that kind of thing as well. Don't do it in a gross way, obviously. Be like, hey, you were on this show, can I be on it?
And then I can come back on the show and I can tell the story. Do it in the
grossest
grossest way possible, please.
No, please don't send Rose any gross DMs. Send them to me if you need to. Send them to the podcast. Don't send Rose gross DMs. Yeah. And then obviously Class of 07 is now on Amazon Prime. So
yes, and you can get a 30-day free trial.
Oh, there you go.
So there's absolutely no excuse. If I see you and you tell me you haven't watched it, don't bother.
Yeah, if you're at Mecca Chadston and you see Rose there and say you haven't seen Class of 07, how dare you?
Yeah, just leave me be in the candle aisle. Thank you.
And can I say as well, so many more shows should be doing this. Half-hour episodes. Fucking perfect. They don't need to be an hour long for TV shows. I don't have that attention span or that time free. Half an hour is perfect.
Half an hour. And, if you like this podcast and you like, embarrassing things happening to people, there's so much fainting, vomiting, shitting, falling,
farting. There's so much weird stuff.
There's a lot of weird, and there's an apocalypse. So, that's probably the most awkward and embarrassing thing that could ever happen. I don't know why an apocalypse. That'd be embarrassing. Cringe, the apocalypse happened.
Oh God, I know. It is obviously like the most embarrassing thing that can happen to anyone who's get stuck in an apocalypse. We do also have the aforementioned Scene Workout podcast as well, which you can find out on most podcasting platforms.
Yes, so it's presented by Scene Workout, and it's called Get Your Act Together. It's a terrific pun that I came up with.
It's beautiful.
And so that is, all those episodes, they're still kind of relevant, even though they're like from COVID times.
What's really good about them is they're kind of timeless as well, in the respect of all of the advice throughout them is still very relevant to today. A couple of my personal favourites are Pissing Off the Crew, a couple of two-hander there as well, and then another one with chap whose name I cannot remember off the top of my head because I am that professional just now, but he also has his own American podcast as well, Lee Foster as well. So I'd listen to that, listen to his podcast as well, but only after you've listened to Rose's. But I really enjoyed those episodes personally.
Oh, thanks.
Anything else as well? We've got a few things coming up, but I don't know if you want to say anything about them yet.
I think it's just a bunch of stuff that, if I don't get edited out, then you'll see me in, and I'll probably share on Instagram.
Follow Rose on Instagram. You can keep up to date with everything on there. And then the same as every week, you can find Won't Be Forgetting That Pod across most of the social media platforms. You can find myself, Seb Muirhead, Muirhead, mostly on Instagram and YouTube, but a little like and follow would be appreciated. There's a couple of links in the episode description as well. Just a way to help support the podcast, which genuinely does help. If you can't afford it, totally fair as well. I understand that. But what is free is a little subscribe and a 5-star rating would be fantastic. But again, if you don't want to do that, that's absolutely fine too. But I just want to finish off by saying thank you very much, Rose.
Thank you. I've noticed you got a cupboard there. I might go check that out if that's
I'm going to escort Rose off the premise after this. Yeah, perfect. Cheers.